Hey everybody, Mr. Covey here, and today I want to move on from multiplying and dividing rational expressions and talk about adding them. Just a forewarning, this is going to be significantly harder than multiplying and dividing. Okay, so I'm just giving you a little warning. Stick with me, we'll practice. You guys will be good. Okay. First, just want to step back to regular old fractions. Okay, go back in the time machine, back to the good old days. All right. And remember how to add fractions, okay? So if you go into these two fractions, your first thought should be, don't do this. That's not a thing. 2 sevens plus 4 fifths is not 6 twelves. No, 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 no. Okay, it's more complicated than that. You can only add fractions if they have the same denominator. You call that a common denominator. When they have different denominators, you need to choose a denominator that you want them to have in common. And the way you do that, a lot of you guys like the thing you kind of have in your head about it is, oh, you multiply the denominators together. And you say, I'm going to choose 35 as the common denominator. Okay? And a lot of times that's a good choice. In this problem, that's a good choice. Then you look at your first fraction. And you say, what did I multiply 7 by to get 35? I multiplied 7 by 5 to get 35. So what am I going to multiply 2 by? Well, I'm going to also multiply it by 5. The reason you do that is because 2 sevenths is equivalent to 10 35ths. Okay, same thing over here. What did you multiply 5 by to get 35? Well, you multiplied it by 7, so you're going to multiply 4 by 7 and you get 28. Now that they have the same denominator, I'm just going to add them together. What's 10 35ths plus 28 35ths? Well, it's 38 35ths. And then you could simplify after that. Okay. Please note, well, I'll say that later. Just multiplying the denominators is not always the least common denominator, though. Okay, so if you look at this next example, you could just say, oh, least common denominator is 48. And if you were in fraction world, this would actually work out fine. Like, it's not the best choice, but in fraction world, you do the problem out here. No, actually, yeah, let's do it real quick. You pick 48, you do 3 times, or you'd say 8 times 6 is 48, so 3 times 6 is 18. 6 times 8 is 48, 5 times 8 is 40. You'd add it all together, and you'd simplify the fraction, and you get that. That's fine. That way won't exactly work with the algebra fractions. And the reason is this choice of a common denominator was not the smallest common denominator. If you're looking for the smallest common denominator, you're looking for the number that both of these goes into, but the smallest one of those. So yes, those both go into 48, but they also both go into 24. And since 24 is smaller, it is the better choice. Okay, so let's do this problem using 24. Well, 8 times 3 is 24, so I'm going to do 3 times 3 and get 9. 6 times 4 is 24, and 5 times 4 is 20. 9 24s plus 20 24s is 29 24s. You get the same answer. With algebra fractions, that won't happen. You have to pick the least common denominator. So just keep that in mind. Okay. One final thing. Notice that when you're talking about a least common denominator, you're talking about like multiplying. Like, what are these? What can you multiply these by? You can multiply them by something to get 24. Or here you multiply the two denominators to get the common denominator. This is not a thing. Like if you look at this top problem, this is not a thing. You've never done this. Like, oh, well, I'm going to make that into a 7 by just adding 2 and adding 2. So I'm going to get 2 sevens plus 6 sevenths, and I'm going to get 8 sevenths. No, no, no. It's all about multiplying, not adding. Okay, cool. All right. If you keep that stuff in mind about numbers, this algebra stuff's not going to be too bad. Okay. With me? All right. So if I count these two fractions, I'm going to say they have different denominators. I'm not going to try and make this denominator into this one by like adding 5. Adding isn't the way you change it. Instead, you just say those denominators are just completely different. X minus 4 is just completely different than x plus 1. So the common denominator is going to be those two things multiplied. Like that's the only choice you have. And I like to write it out separately like this. Okay. If you take this first fraction and you look at it, I multiplied the denominator by x plus 1. I took the x minus 4 and multiplied by x plus 1. So what am I going to do in the denominator? Or excuse me, the numerator? I'm going to take the numerator and multiply it by x plus 1. You with me? Take a look at the second fraction. What I do with the denominator? I multiplied it by x minus 4. See, my new denominator is x plus 1 times x minus 4. So I multiplied it by x minus 4. So what am I going to do with the 5 on top? I'm going to multiply it by x minus 4. And now I'm going to get a new fraction. It's going to look like this. And please, 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 please resist the temptation to start crossing stuff off now. Kids like to do this. No, 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 now you're going backwards. Okay? You can't cross stuff off. The top isn't factored. There's that big plus sign in the middle. Okay? Instead, what we're going to do is distribute this out, combine like terms. So we get 3x plus 3 plus 5x minus 20. I'm going to combine that. I'm going to get 8x minus 17 on top. And on the bottom, sorry if I'm running out of room, I have x minus 4 and x plus 1. At this point, I'm done. What I could do is check now that I have a single fraction. I could go into single fraction mindset, which is factor, 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 factor. Okay? But the top doesn't factor, the bottom already is factored, and nothing cancels. Okay, let's do some more together. Second one's very, 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 very similar. Only difference is going to be subtraction, so we're just going to be a little careful about that. Common denominator, I'm going to skip a couple steps here, or at least do it a little more efficiently. Common denominators, those two things multiplied. How did I change this fraction? Well, I multiplied the denominator by n plus 3, so I'm going to multiply the numerator by n plus 3. Look at the second fraction, the red one. How did I change it? Well, I multiplied the denominator by n minus 5, so I'm going to multiply the numerator by n minus 5. Notice where I put the minus 2n, I brought it up to the numerator there like that, okay? Again, resist the urge to cancel stuff at this step. No, 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 no. Like, it's not factored. That big minus sign in the middle makes it not factored. Instead, I'm going to distribute the top. And now what you're thinking, you're like, I thought I wanted factored. Well, we're distributing it because that's the easiest way to get it into a form that we could factor it. It's kind of the idea. Bottom's that. Sorry, I'm running on top of the other one. So then I'm going to combine like terms on the top. And I'm looking at the top and I'm like, wait, I can actually do some stuff there. I'm going to pull out a -2. It's kind of promising. Again, I still have this on the bottom. What I'm trying to do now is I'm back into single fraction world. I'm in factor, 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 factor world. Because maybe I can get some stuff to simplify. I'm trying to simplify as much as possible. If you look at this guy, I can factor that guy. So I should factor, 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 factor. Okay? I'm going to think, I'm going to think, I'm going to figure it out. That it factors like that. And I'm right here, and I'm kind of bummed at this point. I'm like, oh, shoot. I thought maybe I was going to get some stuff to crisscross out once I got it all factored. I didn't. So I'm done. Okay, but you got to try that, because maybe some stuff would crisscross out. Okay, I know it's a little trickier of a problem. All right, and do two more together. Okay. All right, take this guy. Important fact here. We should write this down. There's a few important facts, but first important one is factor the denominator before you look for a common denominator. Okay, so you want to factor the denominators if you can before you look for the common denominator. Okay. The reason I haven't said that yet is because that hasn't come up. Like, you couldn't factor this or this or this or this. And this one, you look at these two denominators, you're like, wait a second. Look at that right one. I can take a GCF out of that. I'm going to take that right fraction, and I'm going to pull a 2b out of the denominator. Okay, so I'm right here. You guys with me? And I'm going to look at my two denominators here. It's kind of a weird situation. You're like, this one's 2b and this one's 2b times b plus 4. Pause right there and give you a little analogy in math world. Or sorry, in fact, in a number world. It's kind of like if you're doing like, what's 2/5 plus 7/10? You don't get a common denominator of 50. You get a common denominator of 10. But then what do you do to the second fraction? Like the first one, I get it. You do times 2 on the bottom, times 2 on the top. What do you do with the second fraction? You just leave it. Okay. That's kind of going to be our situation here. This fraction we're going to multiply by b plus 4 on the bottom and b plus 4 on top. Second fraction we're just going to leave. So we're going to be right here. Again, please, number one mistake is kids get this all down and they're all good and they're like, oh yeah, then I cross that. No. Factor means it's all multiplying on the top. Like this one was like boom, boom, all multiplying. I got this annoying minus sign there. Okay. So instead, I'm going to distribute with the hopes of later on being able to factor. I know it's a weird idea. I'm going to do like 2b plus 8 minus 5b. I might as well just combine that real quick right now. Negative 3b plus 8 on top, and a 2b times a b plus 4 on the bottom. Unfortunately, nothing cancels, and I'm done. Okay. I'm going to do one more problem together. It's gotten all over the place. Too much math. I know this is a lot of algebra, guys. Thank you for sticking with me. Okay. Look at this, and I'm going to factor the denominator there before I look for the greatest common denominator. Okay, that's important. In this case, it doesn't really help me. Okay, my greatest common denominator is like these two denominators. They don't have anything in common. They're just like totally different things. So my greatest common denominator is just going to be them all multiplied together. Okay, so my new common denominator is going to be 3a times 10 times a minus 10. I'm going to look at that blue fraction, and I'm going to say, what I multiply the denominator by? Well, I multiplied that 3a by 10a and a minus 10. So I'm going to multiply, or a minus 1, excuse me. So I'm going to multiply that numerator by 10 and by a minus 1. I don't really need that parenthesis there. It's kind of silly. Okay. And I'm going to look at the yellow fraction, and I'm going to say, what did I multiply that? Excuse me. What did I multiply that denominator by? Just 3a. So what am I going to multiply that numerator by? 3a. Please put parentheses like 3a. Okay. Now again, I'm not going to cancel stuff now. I'm actually going to like multiply stuff together and distribute in order to help me be able to factor it. I know that's the weird part. So I'm going to say 60a minus 60. Distribute that 3a and I'm going to get plus 3a squared minus 12a all over, I'm going to write it as 30a times a minus 1. The combine like terms on the top here. Oops. And now this looks just like one of the problems we were doing the last few days. Okay, like, oh, I got a single fraction. I want to try and simplify it. What should I do? Factor, 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 factor. So I'm going to take the top, and pull out a GCF. Oops, that should be minus 20. Come on, Mr. Covey. I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say factor, 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 factor. Anything other I can factor? I can actually factor that. Let me think. What multiplies to negative 20 and adds to 16? No, I can't think of anything. Can't factor anymore. I ask myself, can I cancel anything? I actually can do one thing. I got this 3 and this 30, and those cancel and leave me with 10 on the bottom. But that's it. Kind of disappointing. More didn't cancel, but it's okay. All right. I know those are tricky problems, guys. We're going to practice this, don't worry. I want you to complete the rest of this assignment, which involves a little bit of practice and answering a couple of questions, and we are going to practice this more tomorrow as well. All right. So thanks for watching, guys. That concludes this video.